What's going on, people? Welcome, welcome. The NBA draft is upon us, and you know I love the NBA draft. And I sat, and I usually do it on my own podcast, but you know what? This year I was like, man, I need a sidekick. I need, I need, I need my Shaq. I need a Shaq in here. So I was like, you know what? I scoured through the web. I threw it in the air. I said, who's gonna catch the alley? And my guy Corban said, I got you. And he caught it and he slammed it. And we here. And we're gonna be talking about all things NBA draft in this. We don't have a name yet. We don't have a name yet. That will come. That will come. But I knew Corban was the guy. Corban is going to be my co-host for this NBA draft podcast that we're doing. Like I said, we don't have a name yet. We will have that, by the next show and all that. But my co-host for this NBA draft pod, Corban, my guy, what's going on?
Hey, Chris, I gotta thank you, obviously, for the opportunity to come here, talk draft, be a part of this new show. I'm excited. Like you said, it was with the pass that good, it was easy to catch the hoop, right? But I'm definitely hyped to be on here and talking some basketball with you, and specifically NBA draft. I've been trying to get into space for a bit now and really dived in this year, and so I feel like it's the right time, it's the right moment, it's the opportunity. Like, let's make it happen.
Yeah, and we got together last month or so, and we were like, all right, let's make this happen and all that. And obviously life gets crazy and all that. But today was the day, even though I had a lot of traffic, and you know how it is in New York City with all that traffic and all that. But we were able to make it happen. So for today's pod, we're gonna start off with a bang, and we're gonna do a lottery. We're gonna do a lottery mock. And then next podcast, we'll do the rest of the draft and all that. But we wanted to start off with a lottery mock draft. Before we get into, we just want to let people get to know us a little bit. So Corban, you go first. Tell the people a little bit about yourself and what made you intrigued about wanting to do an NBA draft pod.
Yeah, man. Like I said, I'm appreciative to be on. I've just been trying to dive more into the draft this year. The last couple of years, I've had interest in it. I've always been obviously an NBA fan. I've done a lot of writing. I've been an editor. I've been podcast host, still am all of that. I do some scouting with Puma Hoops. And so, touching ball in a variety of different avenues, right? SB Nation, Fansided, all the good stuff. And so the last couple of years, I'm like, you know what? That's all well and good. I love it. I'm great for any opportunity to have in this space, but really want to focus more on like not even behind the scenes, but more like roster building, roster construction, draft, those sort of avenues. But from like a perspective of a person who isn't trying to go into the front office. Like, I'll play the mess out of basketball GM. I love that game. I'll do 2K, like that line of it. But I'm also into that type of avenue of basketball. Like, I'm down to cram film like everyone else, but I'm also intrigued in like how rosters are built. And so I put together a show called Roster Reconstruction, which covers the draft, but also covers, and it really the more of the focus on how teams are put together through all the avenues of team building. So free agency and trades as well. But this year was like, hey, I even said like I might even do like I cover some draft on my show, but I might do just a draft specific show. And then I saw, you were putting the feelers out on Twitter. I was like, wow, well, that could be cool too, doing with somebody, something separate, something fun, something different with someone who I've known your work, obviously been in similar circles for a while, but now have a chance to collaborate. And it was like, well, let's just see what happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then, like I said, I've done a lot of draft stuff on my podcast, and throughout since pretty much COVID. COVID was the first year where I really got into the NBA draft and all that, and I used to have all the draft heads that we see on on social media. A lot of the people that we go to for draft analysis, get for information, behind the scenes stuff. I had them on my show and all that, and that's kind of how my show got kind of taken off and kind of got popular and all that. And I would do live mock drafts with some of the best. I would have Corey Talaba, I would have some of these guys, Mavs draft on there and do these mocks and all that. And it's crazy how it's now you see these guys, they're at they're at workouts, they're at the combines and all that, and they're doing tremendous stuff and all that. So it always felt good to be able to do that. And like I said, I love the draft. I love, like you mentioned, team building. Like, we think basketball sometimes it's easy because of, we just think of the game of basketball as being easy, just pick up a ball and all that. But there's so many layers that goes into building a team, and then the draft. That's where it all starts. That's where it all starts for these teams. And then one wrong pick can set you back years, and one right pick can put you in position to be a championship team. And whether it's the number one pick or whether you're a second round pick from Serbia, it's just, I love the process of the NBA draft. And that's why I've been covering it and all that for these last 4 or 5 years. And it's been so much fun. But I've done it by my own. I've had people come on as guests, but I wanted to change it up. I wanted to do, I want to have a back and forth with somebody and then pick their brain and see how they think and they see how I think. And then we can just do it that way. So that's why I threw it up in Twitter. And then when you hit me up, I was like, I had you in my mind too. I was like, he would be great. And then when you hit, I was like, man, this is meant to be and all that. And then, like I said, we finally made it happen today, and we're about to do this and all that. But like I said, the draft it is upon us. We know who won the draft. The Atlanta Hawks are on the clock. And I think they had, what was their odds? It was like it was like 2%, I think, something like that, Corban. Like their chances of getting the number one pick, I think, and it's crazy because like you look at like Detroit and all that, like back 3 straight years, they get get the 5th pick, all that. And you see a team like Atlanta who just barely missed the playoffs. Well, they're play-in team, right? And they get a chance at number one pick, and they're kind of a franchise that's kind of they're in. Would you consider themselves in the middle, that spot where you don't want to be? Are they in the middle? Do you think they're more that they're just a good offseason away to getting back to being maybe an Eastern Conference champions, or are they closer to, hey, we gotta blow this thing up? So I think they're maybe closer to that, right, Corban?
Yes, sir. That second part, absolutely. I mean, they were middling. And yes, they had some unfortunate injuries, right? Jalen Johnson was out for a stretch. Of course, Trae Young being a big one, right? Clint Capella had moments, DeJounte Murray. But like at full strength, it's not like these guys are world beaters or anything close to that. No. I mean, literally at their peak, I saw maybe a tough second round exit. They didn't even reach that. So no, I think you're right. Lose one of those pieces and you are like basement, like cellar dwellers. So no, I agree with you. I think it's much easier to blow it up and have this team like start from the bottom again than it is to see like one move that will build them back up to the top. Because what is the top for Atlanta?
Exactly. And I hear a lot of people say, well, they should try to trade to get this type of star or this. I'm like, I don't think it's going to work. I think it's something that you got to really consider, making some big wholesale changes and all that. I understand that's difficult, because you never know if you can get back, so I think that's scary for a lot of teams. And how GMs are, like they're not looking in the future. They're looking at the right now. And, Landry has this too, but they do have the number one pick, Corban.
They do?
They do have the number one pick. And with that, we're going to start our mock draft, so let me get the board up. And there we have the Atlanta Hawks are on the clock. Corban, you are on the clock. You are the GM of the Atlanta Hawks with the number one pick. And we're going to do it with the rosters currently constructed. Obviously there's going to be changes and all that. We expect that, but we're going to do it with the rosters as is. So Corban, with the number one pick, the Atlanta Hawks select.
Oh, tough. With the number one pick, the Atlanta Hawks, we're going to go, it's not that tough, I guess. We're going to go with Alex Sarr. Alex 7-1 out of France. Yeah, we're going to go with him. I think we just kind of discussed where Atlanta is or where they should be. I think if they're still exploring a rebuild, you could do it right now. You could see how Onyeka Okongwu works. I think we've seen a little bit of his strengths and weaknesses, but see how he works alongside, a versatile front court player in Alex Sarr, who can slide in at the 4. You have Okongwu at the 5. You can decide what you want to do with your guards between, Murray and Young. But right now you have a guy who, I think defensively you really see the potential. Offensively see the potential. I'm not super impressed with the fact that it's all like the idea of it rather than the actual results. It's the idea of him stretching the floor, the idea of him being a guy who can kind of bring some versatility offensively. It's not something we've seen yet per se, but we've seen enough, I think, at this point and for a team in Atlanta that could very well use him, that we're just going to go with the no-brainer as it stands. There's some thoughts there for sure.
Yeah, I agree with you in there. Like, I think he has the highest upside in this draft because, like you said, the offense is an unknown, but there have been some flashes of some offensive, some offensive creativity with him and all that. He shows some flashes and he has the size. I mean, it's just hard to pass up on a guy who's 7 foot. Well, what a 7 foot plus 7'4" wingspan and all that. And at worst, he's going to be a really good defender from the jump. Like, so, I mean, you're going to get that. And they could definitely use that right now. They need somebody who can at least defend and all that. So, do you think the offense, do you buy the offense long-term? Do you think he can be, an effective offensive player on the floor?
That's the part that gets me because I think he can be somewhat effective. I think that, his physical gifts in terms of his versatility as a big, in terms of his potential floor spacing and just the sheer size will be helpful. But he definitely needs to work on that 3-point range, right? I think that's something that needs to happen. We've seen flashes of it, but the percentages are not pretty, right? So I think that's something you definitely want to look at there. But the idea, again, the actualized version of Sar is someone who, protects the rim at the 4, but, is a stretch big. And I think that provides immense value. No one's asking to be the offensive hub, at least right not now. There's maybe potential there, but no one's looking at that at all right now. So just being a guy who can, finish around the rim, stretch the floor from 3. I think at a baseline level just for that and bringing standout defense, I think that's pretty solid. But to answer your question, offensively, I have more hope in his I feel like his offensive game is more along the lines of Evan Mobley for me. Like, yes, it can happen. Do I see it happening? I don't know. Like, the idea has been there, but the results just haven't been there over a sample size that's been large enough for me that I just have questions about how sustainable it is if he gets there. But like, if he can shoot league average from 3, I think you're in for a good offense player.
But I think he was around like a 30% 3-point shooter and all that. So, and obviously this is a draft where it is so many unknowns. Like, it is one of the, we don't have a lot of drafts like this where it's literally, we have no clue. Like, you can't have a bad mock because this literally, we have no clue. but so it's like, but I still think there is upside, even if he's like and I don't like doing comps and all that, but even if he's like Jaren Jackson, that's not bad. Jaren Jackson has
a lot worse.
Eventually developed. Yeah, it could be a lot worse, I think he could be that type of player. At worst, maybe he's like a, I don't know, like an Isaac, maybe Jonathan Isaac type or something like that. Maybe he's that type of player where, he's can be an all NBA type of defender, all defense type of player, but the offense just never, we never see it. Or he could be Bam Adebayo. Well, we know, So
hey, Bam just started shooting 3s. What, year 6?
Yeah, and then Bam shows some offensive creativity and all that, and it took him a little bit before he get that, but we've seen it. So, so Alex Sarr goes number 1 to the Atlanta Hawks. All right, I'm on the clock, man. The Washington Wizards.
Fun.
This is fun, man. Obviously, we saw the Jordan Poole experience. Jordan Poole and Kyle Kuzma, man. That was something this year.
That was something is the word.
Yeah, it was something, man. It was interesting to watch this year, especially Jordan Poole. He was not good, to say the least. No. All that. Man, this is a tough spot because they do need a point guard. I think Tyus Jones is a free agent, right? Yeah, he is a free agent. But it's like, do you take, I know I should go point guard here.
I was going to say, what do you think are the needs?
Everything. It's kind of everything, Corban. It's kind of a little bit of everything. Like, they got Kyle Kuzma, but we don't know how long Kyle Kuzma is going to be there. He might be a trade chip. He has a reasonable contract, so that's definitely and he's a player that teams can need. Jordan Poole, who knows with that? They got some, they got some good young, Bilal Coulibaly. We didn't get to see a lot of, but he showed some flashes and all that. They got Johnny Davis. Who knows what's going to happen with Johnny Davis? So they kind of need a little bit of everything. You know what? I'm going to go Donovan Clingan, man.
Whoa.
I want to go Donovan Clingan, the 7'2"
Whoa.
back-to-back national champion and all that. Yeah, I'm going to go him. You know, I love his size. I know he didn't test well, but I didn't expect him to test well and all that. Like, I was really worried about him with that. But his presence inside, he's someone that, you know, I think can make life a little bit easier, you know, for Jordan Poole and Kozma and all that. You know, he's gonna be able to protect the rim and all that. And I think, I think I think he can, you know, shoot the jump shot a little bit. And I don't know. I like his upside, 7'8" wingspan, whatever it is, you know. So, you know, point guard to me is probably a bigger need, but I don't know if I would reach right now. And I have Donovan Clingan right now as he's top 4 for me prospect. So I'll go Donovan Clingan here. I know he's more of an old school type of big, but all that. But I'm going to go Donovan Clingan here. He did a lot of good stuff at UConn. Obviously helped them win back-to-back, especially this year. He was pretty dominant and all that. So I'm gonna go with Donovan Clingan to the Washington Wizards.
Okay, all right, I like it. All right, so with the 3rd overall pick, I'm the Houston Rockets now, and I'm torn because
This is the pick from the Brooklyn Nets.
Oh, yep. Thank you for bringing that out. Yep. Shout out to Brooklyn.
And then anything I could slander the Brooklyn Nets, I would do it.
You gotta do it. I get you. I mean, James Harden's the gift that keeps on giving for Houston right now. Sort of. But with this 3rd overall pick, I think the Houston Rockets, they're in a spot right now where I think a priority for them should be shooting. I think you want some versatility. I think you want like a plug and play type guy. So options like that should be a look. I would look at Zachary Richache. I think that he's a really solid guy in his potential to stretch the floor, defend a high level, like his size, like his frame. But ultimately, I'm going to go try to get some help in the guard spot. I'm going to go with the point guard. Well, he's really a combo guard out of Kentucky, Reed Shepherd.
Reed Shepherd.
We're going to take him. He made over 50% of his threes this season, which is insane to think about, but he did. We'll just look past the first round game that he had in the NCAA tournament. But aside from that, you know, a really capable guy, a guy who can, like I said, play both guard positions, defend pretty well. I think some of his steal numbers were inflated just due to his gambling a little bit there, but I think the instincts are there. And in a system under Ime Udoka, he'll be a lot more disciplined, a lot more effective, and a guy who can space the floor and kind of keep the offense humming for Houston. I think that's a big one. So yeah, Reed Shepherd, number 3 to the Houston Rockets. Thank you, Brooklyn.
I saw a lot of people. I've seen people mock Reed Shepherd 3, and I've seen people complain about that. And I'm like, no, I think that's perfect. I think I wouldn't be surprised if that's where he goes.
Yeah, it's one of those things for me. I can't say I'm the biggest Reed Shepherd fan. Like, I have him in my top 10. Do I have him 3? No. But like, this is also my first draft. I'm gonna do my own, I'm sure, after too. My first draft doing like team specific. He just fits a need, right? Like, he just fits a need. Do I think? Yeah, exactly. Is he third on my big board? No, he's not. But as far as the draft, you know, whether you're picking for need, best player available, I think this is definitely one where it could be up in the air for both. But I feel like this is the best player right now, in my opinion, in terms of fit for the Houston Rockets. So yeah, he's a polarizing player. This draft is full of those guys.
Oh yeah, 100%. The draft is full of them and all that. Do you think? So where do you have Reed right now on your like where do you have him on your big board?
Big board 8. I like him. Yeah, he's 8. I like him. He's solid. He's just not my. I'm higher on. I've just named a few. I'm higher on Ron Holland. I'm higher on Zachary Richache. I'm way higher, and I know this is ironic being they're in the same backcourt, but I love Rob Dillingham, even though I know defensively he's trash. You know, there's a few other guys that Isaiah Collier I'm not higher than, but like I'm definitely a little more hopeful for him. I have him in my top 10. I think he's number 10 in my big board as of right now, and I know he had a horrific year in USC, but I just feel like, well, I say horrific year just because the style of play clashed with the personnel. He didn't have that bad of a year. He was the number 1 talks earlier in the season, but he definitely fell off a cliff. Yeah. But like, this guys that I feel their game will present well the next level. I think Reed can. I definitely see, like, I'd say 8 out of 10 that it will, but just in my mind, there's other guys that I immediately am drawn towards more.
I get you. I'm with you 100% on that. I think Collier might be one of those guys that his game is actually better suited for the league than it was in college.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
we see a
agreed.
lot of those type of guys, like the Cam Thomases and all that, guys like
Mhm.
that we see them in the league. We're like, why? Wait, why did we do that? Why do we let him slip to the end of the first round? And I think Isaiah
Mhm.
Collier could be that guy where we're going to be like, he's going to have the Cam Thomas moments where he's dropping 40. We're going to be like, we overthought this. We looked at the stats. We looked at his inefficient and like, we didn't put the situation in hand. And we should have just they
Mhm.
did a Cam Thomas, and I always and that's why I referred. I think Collier could be that. So, all right. We got the San Antonio Spurs with the 4th pick in the draft. With the 4th pick in the draft, San Antonio Spurs select Stephon Castle, guard, UConn.
Whoa. I
I
did
love
not see
him.
that one. You do.
I love him. He's a monster combo guard. He can I know the shooting is the one thing, but he can
Yep.
lock up. He can lock you up, and he, for a 5-star to go into UConn, that's tough. And he adapted to his role. He played his part, didn't complain and all that, and just did it. And he just does everything you need. And the upside to me is one of the higher upside. I think behind Sar, to me, he has the highest upside in this. I see. Call me, like I said, I hate comparisons, but I
Mhm.
see a little SGA in him. I saw it all. I'm like, it's
Whoa.
there. I see. I know, call me crazy, but I see a little bit of in him.
It's my
I
first
see
show.
a
I
little
can't
bit
say that
in him.
about you, man. But okay.
I
I
see
don't
a
even
little.
like really. What in what way do you see it? Because offensively, that's my big thing. And like also, I think he wants to be a guard. Well, I don't think he said he wants to be a guard, but I don't see it. Like I feel like his reads have been pretty simple. I don't think they've been super. Like he has some ball. He has some flashes. Like he can do more than he's done. Right. I will say
Yeah,
that he can do more on the ball than he's done. Now, can he do the amount that he's a point guard? I don't know. And if you can't shoot, you're not going to get the chance to really find out. And that shot is interesting. It's interesting. Like, I guess
yeah.
let me go back to that. How do you see some SGA in him? Because I am curious on that a little bit.
I just the way he can control the game, just the way
Okay.
he slows down the game, and I that's what SGA does. SGA doesn't play too fast, right?
No.
SGA is not an above the rim type player and all that, and like SGA is not a great shooter too. So he knows what he can do, and he's still able to dominate the game. I'm not saying he's going to be SGA, but that's the type of style I like, and I could see him being that type of player where, yeah, he understands he's not going to be a high volume 3-point shooter and all that, just like SGA is that type of player. I just see, I just love, like I said, we didn't see a lot of because of UConn. They have a bunch of pros that we might be talking about on this podcast, a bunch of pros. Their whole starting 5 might be pros and all that.
Yeah.
But I just, and then the defensive end too. We see it. I don't know. I said, call me crazy, Corban, but I see a little bit in him. And like I said, the shooting, I understand, but the same thing we worried about with SGA, and SGA is still not a great shooter, but at times get timely, has big time shots and all that. That's why I really like Stephen Castle. I think he has the highest upside behind Alex Sarr and Zachary Ricochet is another guy who has, those 3 guys probably the highest upsides in this class. But Stephen Castle, if I'm San Antonio, this is the draft where you can take chances. Take chances, and you're not really going to get people to get on you. I would take Stephen Castle here at 4. I think it's a need. I think you could mold him into a solid point guard, and maybe even get something great, especially with Victor Wembanyama on the team. You have him and Victor playing defense, man.
Yeah.
You're gonna be able to lock up some people, So I'm going Stephen Castle here with their first of their 2 second round, first of their 2 first round picks.
Okay, I'm with it. Interesting. All right. I like that we're having this kind of discussion though, kind of going into like our own takes and our own philosophy as we kind of apply it to the draft class. I mean, that's really good.
This is why we're doing it, Corban. This is why I wanted to do this type of podcast, because we can have back and forth. Whether you agree with it or not, we both have our observations, and we can both bounce back and forth and understand, our process and how we think.
You said it, man. You said it. So you're right. I'm gonna keep with that in mind. I'm gonna keep this bad boy moving on. So now we are up with our next pick in the draft, and that is held by the Detroit Pistons. Detroit basketball sitting at number 5. Not for the first time.
3 straight years, right? Is it 3 straight
Right,
years?
exact. You said it. Yeah, I feel like it has been. So, Pistons. I mean, what do they need? Everything, right? They're the NBA's worst 3-point shooting team, and they're one of the worst defenses. So, not great
They were
there.
the worst team in Corban. They were just the worst team in basketball.
You said it. You said it. Exactly. Just the worst team in basketball.
Let's just keep it a buck. They were just
Hey,
flat out the worst team in basketball.
you're right. No, you said it. And so I'm looking, and the way I see it in terms of need, but they also have a spot where I don't think they need help with the guards. I think Kate Cunningham's pretty solid. I think you have an idea of Jaden Ivey. You already let go of your one draft guy. We don't got to bring him up, but point guard in 2020. He who shall not be named. No, I'm just kidding. Like you have a lot of big men. I don't think any other big men up in there. So I'm gonna go with the forward, and I'm gonna go with one I referenced before, and that's Zachary Richichet, out of Borg, out of France, but out of Borg in terms of the team he played for. 19. Like I said, good frame. I love his potential to space the floor. I love his ability to defend. I think that he kind of can, in theory, as best as any player in this draft can, check off two birds with one stone for the Detroit Pistons. Like I said, they need some shooting, they need some defense. Now, is he a great shooter? He had a really fiery start as far as blazing hot from deep. Then he kind of fell off for a bit, right? So we kind of know that, right? Defensively, I think he's been pretty solid, but like he'll be a rookie. And you'll see how that kind of looks as he kind of adjusts to the next level of basketball. But it's the combination of both and the potential of where both lies that draws me to him. And so that's why I have Zachary Richichet going number 5 to Detroit. And I really think that for the Pistons, he's probably some of the best talent available at that spot. A guy I'm very high on, a guy who could make an impact without having a whole lot of pressure on him.
Yeah, he's probably one of the more like boom or bust guys. Like he has, he can either be a multiple time all-star, or he can be, Pokashevsky. It's that kind of, it's that type of how wide his range is. But he has shown some flashes, especially defensively, like you said. He could shoot it a little bit, inconsistent, but he's still very young too. We have to put that perspective too with a lot of these guys. They're young, they can eventually become solid shooters and all that. But he's a good slasher and all that. But he's one prospect too that like I've seen people have him as their top guy, or you see some people they have him in the back end of the lottery. So what do you think people? The people who are kind of low on him and have him in the back lottery. Why do you think the reason is? Like what's scaring some people to have him kind of lower than some of the people who may have him, in that top 3 range?
I feel like you said it's the boom or bust potential, particularly when allied with the shooting, right? And we've seen a lot of guys come over who their shooting fell off a rock, and they were kind of drafted specifically for their ability to shoot the ball. And I'm not comparing them at all in terms of play style or anything, but one that pops out to me the most was Mario Hezonja. Like a couple years back, good pop, good flash, and he came with the reputation of a shooter. Came to NBA, got drafted Orlando. Guess what? Couldn't shoot, right? Went to Portland, same thing. Out the league, goes back to EuroLeague, and now the guy can shoot again. Shout out to the brother. But the point being is that in the league, that was something that they're really riding on. It was all these things he can do plus this, right? Or all these things he can do around this. And if you don't have that, that's kind of the main deal. It's kind of like having a sandwich without having any filling, right? So I feel like with Richichet, like if you get a defender, if you're just going off a defender, I don't know. If that's the case, I'd probably go Matas Buzelis. If I want a defender who I know is going to be a defender and more of a question mark as a shooter, right? Like there's other guys to go to. I could look around Holland. I could look at other forwards if I'm Detroit that can't shoot or have big question marks of shooting, but definitely can bring some potential defensively. But if I'm looking for both, well, I'm trying to go Richichet. And if he doesn't bring one of those, namely the shooting, then I think you have a problem. And so I think that's the biggest issue, really.
I get you. I understand that 100%. He's definitely going to be someone that, like I said, has a wide range and all that, but I would expect him to still be a top 5, pick and all that. And if you're Detroit, you just need to, you got to keep swinging and see who's that guy, because you got some good pieces there, but you still need to find who's going to be that guy who can tag along with Cade, because you've had some pieces and we don't know if Ivy's fit. We don't know if Thompson's going to fit, but just keep adding talent and we'll see what happens and all that. But he's definitely someone that if he hits, could have something special there.
Yeah, it's not going to stop with this draft, right? Like we know it won't stop with this draft that they keep trying to rebuild.
So we got the Charlotte Hornets on the clock. Man, what are we gonna do? We got LaMelo. We don't know what we got. Brandon Miller. Runner up for third in Rookie of the Year. So we have a nice piece there. What can we add to this team? Man. You know what? I'm gonna go Ron Holland here.
I hate it.
I'm gonna go Ron Holland. You hate it?
I hate it.
No, right, so go. I want to hear it. Hear it.
No. I hate it because I was gonna draft him next. I don't hate it for the fit in Charlotte. Okay. Yeah, that was an important distinction I forgot to mention. No, I like him in Charlotte. If I want you to kind of share why you think he'll be a good fit, but I like him in Charlotte myself. I agree with you. He's just the next guy I was eyeing as a pick for my guy because I feel like, okay, I'll let you know real quick, a little behind the table here. I have like the list. Obviously, we both have the list of teams there, and I have like players. I'm like, I'm high on this guy for my board, and they could slide from this team to this team to this team. And Holland was the next guy that could do that, and now he is gone. So there we go.
Yeah, I mean, I would have considered Holland even higher. I really do like Ron Holland. I like kind of his mid-range game. I know people are not crazy about, they don't know about his offensive upside and all that, but I like it. I think he's a tremendous athlete. He can the slasher. It's kind of what, because we don't know with the Bridges, if he's going to be there long term. If they do manage to ship him, whatever happens with Bridges, Ron Holland is kind of a version of that, minus all the baggage that Bridges brings and all that. So you put that in with LaMelo. If LaMelo's healthy and can play a full, close to a full, at least 65 games, give me that. I think that's the best thing that could happen to Ron Holland, because he can get easy buckets with LaMelo. So to me, this is a dream. If you're Ron Holland, if you get to this point, you get to go to Charlotte with LaMelo, I think this is a home run because I think LaMelo is going to be able to maximize your talent, especially in transition and all that, get you easy buckets and all that, and then everything else can fall in line. But he's going to be able to like I said, get to the rim, be great in transition, and he's going to be able to play some defense and all that. And they could use some wing defenders and all that. So Ron Holland, to me, I think is a great fit here for Charlotte.
I agree. I like his fit alongside Brandon Miller as well. I think that's going to be a really that'll be a formidable kind of wing duo, especially if you, of course, get Holland to shoot the ball, right? Like if he can shoot from range, I like his mid-range as well. I don't think his shot is broken by any stretch. Contrary to some who believe otherwise, I am not one of those people. So I think, you're right. Like I definitely feel like if he can keep that going and develop that, him and Brandon Miller, that's nasty at the 2, 3, 3, 4, however you want to do it.
Exactly. Yeah, and like I said, I know people worry about but I mean, in some of the games I watched, I mean, I could buy it. And like I said, if LaMelo's right and he's healthy, I think he'll make life easier for Ron Holland, getting some easy buck. And then you got Brown Miller too, who's going to be year 2, and we saw what he does as a rookie, elevate his game. I think that there's going to be a lot of open space for him to work on the shot and get some good open looks. So I like this. I like this spot for him.
Yeah, no, I think it's solid for sure. All right, moving on down.
We have the Portland Trailblazers.
Yeah, we do. Okay, so with the number 7 pick, the Portland Trailblazers are going to take a little bit of a reach. He slipped a little bit on my mock draft that I'm still developing, my big board a little bit. But I'm going to go, looking at Portland, they have a lot of guards. I kind of want to see what they do. Robert Williams. I know obviously you have DeAndre Ayton, so your bigs are kind of set. I kind of want to forward, right? I think, again, between Scoot Henderson, Shaedon Sharpe, Anthony Simons, one of them is probably already going to be moved anyways, just because that's a lot of guard depth in a good way, but also just a lot. So that's one thing I'm looking at. But also, I'm not trying to add another guard to that mix. Not until you move one and have some sense of direction. So I'm going to go give a little bit of a reach, but I'm going to go to Colorado, where I'm currently at right now. I'm going to go and grab Cody Williams.
I like it.
So Cody
I
Williams,
like it a lot.
Yep. Small forward, combo forward. He's going to go to the Portland Trailblazers. I like his versatility. I like his size. I think he still has a ways, from contributing like a super high level right now. But right now, I think he'd be a perfect connective piece, especially again, another question mark. You'll hear this a lot during this lottery here. That's where we're halfway through now. With the shooting, how was the shooting to go? Because he didn't shoot a lot. When he did, it wasn't super great. Like, how's the shooting going to go? But as someone who can make a nice pass, bringing the ball up, get you in your offensive sets, provide some versatility there. Defensively, good, like the good size, like the length, the ability to guard a few positions. I think that having a guy like that in Portland will help to kind of really, okay, this is a piece we can really kind of pencil in, hopefully, around whoever we decide from our guards. And I guess DeAndre Ayton, because no one's taking that contract now, as like the nucleus of this team for the next 2-3 seasons.
Yeah, I like Cody. I know people kind of worry if he can be like that, because there was that point of the season where he was getting like top 3 buzz, and whether he can be that go-to guy and all that. He definitely had some moments and had some lowlights at Colorado and all that. But I think he has the size, but 6'9". I think he's a nice connective piece. He's kind of like his brother. He can just fit and just make it work, and he's going to be like an 19 point per game guy, all that. And I like the pick. I do. I like him a lot and all that. I just think he's just going to be a really good player. It's just I just think it's kind of just like his brother. I know that's cliche, but it's just he's just going to be a piece that's just going to fit and just going to work. So I like that pick a lot.
For sure.
Okay, so we're back to San Antonio. I gave them Stephon Castle with the 4th pick. So we have the 8th pick here. Man. I mean, they got a lot of guards right now. They got some guards, but
they do. They definitely do.
You know what? I'm gonna go with Dalton Connect here.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with Dalton Connect here. I think it's a wing that he absolutely he was amazing this year. It just was that simple. He was absolutely tremendous with his scoring ability, 3-level scoring ability. I know he's an older guy. Who cares? He's a bucket. He's a bucket. I don't care. He's just a bucket. He gets it. He's if I'm going to give them a guy like Castle, who might be someone that might take a few years to develop, why not give them a guy at 8 may potentially be a plug and play guy, and give you productive minutes right away. So, he's strong and all that. He was not afraid this year, played in the SEC, played against tough competition and all that. Was lights out from 3, man. He was just a monster, and he didn't let to go take the leap to go to play in the SEC this year. That was huge, and he balled out, man. And to see the guy that maybe we weren't even talking about in a draft sphere to now being a lottery pick. I mean, that shows where he's been. He's a solid defender, big time shooter and all that. Like I said, he lights out from 3 and all that. I think he just feels like a Spur too, man. So I think you can plug and play him, and he could be productive from the jump and all that. And he'll have plenty of opportunities with Vic and all that in year 2 and all that. So I'm gonna go Dalton Connect, at 8 here.
Okay, I like it. I like your philosophy too. Like, you went with someone who was like maybe less experienced but had a bigger ceiling. Now I got with a guy who may not have as high a ceiling but definitely has a pretty high floor. So definitely like the contrast there. I think that's a good mix for sure. All right. So now moving on up, we are now with the Memphis Grizzlies. This is a good one. Definitely think his best player available. I think Connect would have been a good fit for this slot right here.
He actually would have been perfect.
Right?
He would have been perfect.
Right? Stephon Castle, Cody Williams. There's a few guys here that I really would have liked. We're gonna go with a little bit of a reach, but I think if I'm Memphis, the one fit I definitely want is like a big. I think you moved off of Steven Adams, Jaren Jackson, maybe the 5, but still the 4. I don't know. This is a tough one. I don't want to have anyone right now just clash with my group in the backcourt / wing of not John Morant, who's obviously the point guard, but between Marcus Smart and more importantly Desmond Bane. I don't want to have another guy in on that right now. So again, a little bit of a reach, but I'm gonna go with Zach Edey out of Purdue.
Ooh, Zachary Edey. Let's go.
Yeah.
He is a top 10 pick. Corban, why is Zach Edey top 10 for you? We got a little bit of a shocker right here.
It's a little bit shocking to me as I'm doing it, to be honest with you. I really, the big reason why is I couldn't take Donovan Clingan, who went way earlier than I would have. So like that was the big reason why. But I'm like, if I want someone, if I'm looking at Memphis right now, let's assume everyone goes back to full health and everyone's good. I want someone who's going to be able to provide some good interior scoring, right? I want someone who's going to be able to provide some solid rebounding as well. And I think that his offensive rebounding is really solid. I think his interior scoring is something that the Grizzlies don't necessarily have, and they definitely didn't have. I mean, most of your interior scoring came from John Morant, your point guard, right? So I feel like having a guy like that whose sheer size and physicality will be helpful. I think his productivity, his intensity, and the team culture will also be something that I think Memphis will really benefit from. So a little bit of a reach, definitely more of a fit than best player available. I just looked at the others on my board immediately. And while I like them, I don't know if I like them for Memphis right now. And so that's why I went with a little bit of reach for sure and took Zachary Edey. Zach Edey.
Zachary. I mean, that's his government name. So
there you go. You're right. I didn't mess up. No
Corban, if this was any other year, maybe that we could be like, man, I don't see it and all that. But if there's a draft where we can be like, you know what, let's just give it a shot. This is the draft, right?
You said it. Like, I don't even really think, like, as I'm talking about stuff, I'm like, did I make the right call? But I'm also like, why not? You know what I mean? And this is 1.0. We might be doing this again in a bit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like this first iteration. But yeah, I mean, Zach Edey, he showed his, last year. If this was last year, maybe he's a second round pick and all that because we wasn't sure about conditioning and all this other stuff and all. But he showed a lot this season. His toughness and all that. Obviously his ability to defend the paint and score in the post and all that. His conditioning to me was the biggest thing. He showed that he can not just be maybe like a 10, an 8 to 12 minute type of player. He could play a little bit more. Now, I don't know if he could give you 30 minutes a night, but maybe 20, 25 and be an effective 20, 25 minutes and all that. And like you said, they only got Jaren Jackson. There's not a lot of size over there in Memphis right now, with Steven Adams gone. So and there's not a lot of, I mean, Klingen's gone and all that. There's not a lot of really bigs in this draft, that you would take this high. Think about taking this high, But so Zach Edey, give it a shot. I'm not mad at it. I'm really not mad at it. I know people are probably going to flip Corban when they see this.
Oh yeah.
But I'm not tripping. I'm not tripping. So we got Zach Edey going 9th to the Memphis Grizzlies. I mean, that might be a good spot for him too. I'm
about to say, shoot, I might look back and flip.
But like I said, this is the first iteration. 2.0, we might change it up and all that. But all right. So we got the Utah Jazz with the 10th pick in the draft. I'm taking Rob Dillingham. I'm not even going to let him slide anymore because I feel bad. I let him slide this far.
He was the next guy I wanted. I just couldn't see him.
I can't do it no more. Yeah. I'm going to put him here in this spot. All that. He's dynamic. I know like we mentioned, he's not great on defense and all that, but he shows enough flashes offensively that he is top 10 pick worthy. Maybe he's probably going to go higher than this. But the way our board, our board went, he's 10th pick. I can't let him slide past. I don't care. You make it work with him. No matter. And he's someone that shows flashes of dynamic scoring, 3 levels and all that. The defense obviously is not good, but who cares? Just take him here and just let him go. Just let him cook. like this. Just let him cook, do his thing. So I'm taking Rob Dilly here with the 10th pick. Can't let him slide any farther. I wouldn't feel right.
No, I'm with you on that. That sounds good. I mean, I would have, like I said, that was the one guy I was thinking the most of Memphis, but I'm just like, when? Like Desmond Bane can do the 2 and the 3, Marcus Smart can do 1 through 3, John Morant can do the 1 and the 2. I'm like, Rob Dillingham, you have to make, like, sure, he can in theory play his way into a spot where he gets a lot of run. And John Morant again, injured. A lot of those guys could, but I just couldn't make the case there. Just for I probably could have better than I did Zach Edey, but I like it. Again, way to not make a guy slide. I am so high on Rob Dillingham. It's crazy. So I'm definitely with you on that for sure.
All right, Bulls on the clock.
All right, doubles. This one we're gonna go with Isaiah Collier.
Oh yeah.
Yep, I'm gonna go with Isaiah Collier.
Mhm.
Zach LaVine's a trade candidate, right? DeMar DeRozan's a UFA, unrestricted
Yes.
free agent, right? They might bring him back because the Bulls front office
Yeah.
likes pain. But if they don't, and they decide to do what everyone else is saying, and that is to go for a rebuild.
They
then I
love
think
Corban. They love being like we talked about the middle before with what team we talked about for being in the middle. They are the antithesis.
Atlanta,
right? The Bulls are
Yeah.
the whatever that antithesis is. That
you
that's
said
the
antithesis. Yep,
terminology?
you got it.
Ant-
Yes, sir.
I like that. See, I like saying that. They
There
are
you
the
go.
antithesis of like being in the middle. Like they just love being
Yep.
in the middle. Like play in,
They love
baby.
it.
We in there.
They
We
can't
love
help
being in
it.
the play in and
Gotta have it. Want to be it. Exactly. No, you said it. That's exactly where they're at with it. And it's kind of crazy, but it's so true. So, like, that's just one of those things where I don't know. Like, again, this pick in my mind, go for a rebuild, yo. Like, just do it, make it happen. Collier has flaws, but he has some real star power, some real upside. Love his size, love his strength, love his ability to slash. If he can shoot the ball a little bit as well as pick up the pace, because he slowed it down for reasons I still don't know at USC. I think it'll be good. But here in Chicago, you got Kobe White able to kind of grow and develop alongside him. You go with the team that hopefully, is like I said, not retooling, rebuilding, and you're able to, give a boost in terms of the backcourt playmaking and shot creation that Collier can provide. So, yeah, that's who I have going at number 11 to Chicago out of USC.
Okay, yeah. And he provides high upside too. Like I said, I think there's a world where he can be a really, really good player. I think USC, there was just a lot going on there. There was just a lot of a lot
of noise.
and it just wasn't. Yeah, a lot of noise. The guard rotation wasn't ideal and all that. He wasn't able to play his full game. I think he's more of what we saw in high school in the pros. So I think potentially this could be a steal. This really could be a steal, and Chicago could have a nice piece to build for the future, because I mean they've had some. Kobe White came on, he came on this season, had a great season. Alonzo Ball, obviously with the knee stuff. Zach LaVine, they got a lot of what ifs. They're one of the biggest what ifs too, because before Alonzo injury, they were cooking, but we'll see what happens. But that is a good pick. I like that. All right, we have the team that just lost to Dallas Mavericks in the second round, the number 1 seed. Tremendous season they had, the Oklahoma City Thunder. They need a stretch for that type of player and all that. And I'm gonna go with maybe not who you're thinking about, but I'm gonna go with Kyle Filipowski.
Okay.
Going with Kyle Filipowski with this pick and all that. I think they need some size too. And I know Kyle may not be known as one of the tougher guys, but he's a big guy, and and I think he can shoot better than what we saw a little bit at Duke and all that, especially with what we see at OKC. Some of the floor spacing he'll have more opportunity to shoot and all, but they just need some more. They need a bigger force. Topic still being here that's messing with me too, but I don't think they need that right now and all that. And I felt Buzelis, but I think Kyle. I think he could be a knockdown shooter at the next level. I think he can continue. He's going to continue to get better as a shooter and all that. And I think him and OKC. I think that's a perfect fit and all that. So I'm going to go. I'm going to go with my Duke Blue Devil, Kyle Filipowski here.
There you go. I like Kyle. I think, you definitely a little higher. I don't mind him in this range. Definitely the higher end of it for this range, but I'm also high on Filipowski. I think bigs who can shoot, dribble, and pass are a commodity, a rare one in the NBA, right? And so to have one like Filipowski that's available, if you can get him, get him. And if you have to get him a little earlier, fine. In this draft, like you said earlier, Chris, like, why not? At this point, there's no clear, what are you doing?
Why not? Yeah.
Sure, there's always going to be someone that says that, by the way. But, like, at the same time, the range is wide, and, I like it. All right. So at number 13, my last pick for this episode, Sacramento Kings. I hate to let Topic slide some more, but he is going to slide again because the Kings are going to select Jacoby Walter out of Baylor.
Jacoby Walter.
Okay. And the way I look at it is this: Malik Monk, free agent. He might get a lot more. I'm a Laker fan. He might be in the exact same situation the Lakers were in 2021 with him, where they wanted him and he wants to be there, but he also wants the money, and other teams can offer more money than the team that he's on, the incumbent team can offer. So in my mind, Kings have to bolster their wing depth. They have to make it happen. They can't just afford to go, oh, we lost Malik Monk. Well, here we go. Let's run it back. There's no such thing here. So I think whether you go through free agency, whether you go through the draft, you need to have a guy who can replace him. Why not get it through the draft? Cheaper that way anyway. So I think a guy like Joby Walter, I think defensively, he brings some good intensity. I think when it comes to scoring, he can run off a screen, so a good movement shooter. You need shooting in general if you're Sacramento. Why not? If you can have some defense on the side as well, it doesn't hurt. So for the 13th pick, I think I like Jacoby Walter out of Baylor for the Kings.
I think this is one of the more perfect fits too. Like everything you just said was exactly what I was thinking. So, I think that's a good high upside too and all that. I mean, at one point people were talking about, is he in that 3 to 5 range and all that? I know he had up and down season at Baylor and all that, but we also got, they're freshmen, man. They're going to have those peaks and valleys and all that, but he's someone that, he could be the Malik Monk. He could be just the cheaper version, so I like that pick a lot. I think he slides in if Malik Monk leaves and gets paid and all that, which he most likely will. And I think he slides in, and then they got a potential Malik Monk type for the next, whatever amount of years. All right. So to close out the lottery, we are back with the Portland Trailblazers. You gave them Cody Williams with the 7th pick. Man, we got a couple guys that probably, weren't expected to be here, but one of them's gonna have to still be on the clock when we do the rest of our mock draft. But I'm gonna take Matas Buzelis here with the pick. I just couldn't give them another guard. Like you said, mentioned before in your analysis, they would have a bunch of guards, and most likely, with Simons, with Sharp, with Scoot, one of them's got to have to probably go and all that. So why you don't want to crowd that backward even more? So, but Buzelis is someone I just love his toughness, man. He's not afraid. He can get to the cup and all that. I know people know that he's another guy. Sometimes the shooting is, being talked about, but I think he's a solid piece here. Has good size and all that. Like I said, I just like his day. He's not afraid. So he's going to go in there and he's going to compete and all that. And can play a little bit of defense too. So I like this spot for him, for Matas Buzelis and all that. But that's going to round out the mock draft. And like I said, we're going to finish off on the next episode, the rest of this draft and all that. But we wanted to start off the first episode with a bang and do a lottery there. So Corban, before we head on out, any surprises here? Whether it's a guy that wasn't selected. Obviously, we know a guy. Topic. I think we both agree Topic not being selected here, but it's just the way the board is. We just fit, and all that. So, Topic not being here. I mean, that's probably going to be our guy who we're kind of surprised didn't go. Why do you think in this instance, if this was the board, why do you think he did not go?
I think honestly, it's a mix of one. I think Zach Edey was also like a kind of wrench in the plan, right? But
which always happens. It's always
always
that one, right? So hey, there's the one.
You said it, and there it is. That's the mulligan, exactly. But like in this case, I think we gave good analysis each time we took a pick. But each time that we picked for a team, I think maybe he probably goes realistically. Like if we do it, I'm not realistic, but if we do it again, maybe Washington, maybe San Antonio, right? But I like the path you took with San Antonio. I like the path that Washington took. I think that ultimately each team that we picked, I didn't put him for the Kings. I guess I could have done that. I didn't put him with the Trailblazers because they had too many guards. Same with you. Like each team we picked, he was good. He would have been a solid player regardless, but he wouldn't have been the right fit for that team. And I think that fit matters, right? I think as early as Houston, he could have went. Well, as early as number 2, he could have went, right? Houston was another play, but I like Reed Shepherd better as a shooter, as a floor spacer, as someone who didn't necessarily need the ball. And so when it comes to all that, it was just one of those things where like it just didn't match the team. And it's not an indictment on him as a player. It's more of a realistic look at what team needs are and what we ascertain the team needs to be. And that could be different for somebody else. Maybe somebody else sees that, hey, we need a clear big, but we don't really care because Topic is who we want. So that's who we're picking. Position fit, be damned, or whatever the case may be. And so like that could also be a thing. It really depends on, which front office, which executive is in the mindset at the time of how they're evaluating. But for us, the way we did it, the way the ball rolled, the way the teams picked, he was a solid contender for, I would say, out of what we each had 7 picks, maybe 4 out of our 7 picks he was a contender for. But ultimately, we thought there was other people at the spot that are better.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely a contender at 4 for the Spurs. I literally was going. I just, for me, maybe because I'm just a big Stephen Castle guy, and I do feel like he can potentially be an all-star level point guard and all that. So that probably was why I kind of went with him over Topic. But that's probably a spot where he'll definitely be considered in either one of those Spurs picks and all that, So, but there's the teams. They were just a matter of just like you said, Reed Shepherd do they need another ball handling guy? They got Fred VanVleet. They already got a couple guys. They need a knockdown shooter. Reed is definitely a better fit and all that. So, like I said, the option at 3, like I said, he can go from that range from 2 to 6, 2 to 8. That's probably where he may go. But just feel just the way we went. He's going to be outside a lot. I'm sure once we get, when we start up, the rest of this mock, he'll probably be the 15th pick, all that. So, it happens. We see guys drop all the time. So not that we're predicting that this is going to happen, but it just, this is just how it went and all that. And we wouldn't be surprised if someone that we think is going to be top 4, top 5, whatever, it slides a little bit. It happened to dude from Villanova last year.
Cam Whitmore.
Cam Whitmore, right? And I had Cam Whitmore top 5.
Same.
And he dropped all the way late, and he went to the Rocket, and
look what he did.
Yeah, and he showed flashes where he can, he might be something. So you never know. But Corban, my man, this was fun, brother. I'm happy we were able to get this. I'm excited for people to get to listen to this, not just this episode, but the rest of the episodes we're going to push out, for this new podcast, brother.
Hey, I'm excited, man. It's going to be a lot of fun. This already was a pleasure, to get started on this. I look forward to more, man. And yeah, a blast. Let's keep it going. I'm excited.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, like I said, we're going to work on a name. By the time you guys listen to the next episode, we're going to have a name. We're going to have a new banner. We're going to have every that good stuff. We'll be doing the rest of the mock draft on the next pod and all that, get into more to some of the prospects, talk about the Knicks, who my Knicks are going to draft. I'm sad that they lost, though, but we're going to talk about the Knicks, what positions and all that, and all that good stuff, what the Lakers going to do, where Bronny's going to go. Bronny be drafted. First round pick.
Oh, wow.
Interesting. We got some. We'll see. We'll leave the link for you guys. But Corban, tell people where they can find you before we sign off.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Twitter and Instagram at Corban NBA, CORBAN NBA. This is stuff I do with Next Pro under Puma Hoops, the Switch Theory, roster construction, all that stuff under that umbrella. CORBAN NBA. I appreciate you, man.
Dude got a hell of a resume. Make sure you follow my guy, all right? You can follow me at Off the Ball Pod. I'm talking all things basketball, you name it, whether it's about the Knicks, whether it's about whoever, the playoffs, college basketball, high school recruiting. You name it, I'm talking about it. Hit me up, Off the Ball Pod on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, Instagram. Follow me on Facebook. I'm on there too. Follow my YouTube channel, Off the Ball Network, and all that. So appreciate you guys for the first episode. All that. Like I said, we're gonna have a name. We're gonna have a name ready to go and all that. But we're gonna have the own podcast links and all that. And do that whole thing. But on that note, be well, be safe, take care. Peace out, guys.